Good morning. Good morning. Interactive. Yeah, so hi, how are you doing? Good, everybody?
Great.
All right, okay, so, all right, this is, all right, talking about culture building and so on and so forth and why we do what we do here at Wofford, okay? It's going to be different than what everybody else does because we are an individual just like you guys are. So the whole goal, all right, as I kind of talk through and go through this today, is not to get you to change your culture to what we do, but maybe just take one little small snippet or piece of information that you're able to apply to what your program is, okay? I don't expect anybody to try and duplicate what we do or what we are, because my beard's awful, but my hair is not, okay? So, first one, okay, Gary started off with, talking about sponsors, so, same thank yous, to get everybody that's kind of involved in this process. Obviously, a big thank you to you guys as attendees, okay? We can't actually have a clinic unless anybody shows up to hear us talk. So we appreciate you guys taking time out of your Saturday, out of your weekend to come and listen to us talk. Obviously, speakers as well. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate that to you guys. I mean, again, I told our speakers when I reached out to everybody on the front end, my goal is to bring in the smartest people I can that have good knowledge and background and experiences so I can learn from them. So if I attract people that I want to learn from, then hopefully you guys can learn from them as well. Kids, I call our student athletes kids because I guess I'm a little bit older now. But again, we can't do our jobs without them. We can't do our jobs without them, and some of them are ornery and some of them you want to ask to leave and not come back, and some of them you want to keep forever. But at the end of the day, that's your number one resource, and that's what gives you the opportunity to do your job and provide service for them. Last one is my direct family. I'm giving up my son's basketball game for today, so I had to give him a shout out. So he's getting ready, and he's finally starting to learn. He calls it beast mode. So he's starting to play a little bit harder underneath the rim now. So we're getting there. Background experience, Gary just kind of took you through a little bit. Be real brief here. I was a student athlete at Hanover College, Division III school up in southern Indiana. I was an undersized kid, and is before all the recruiting hoopla and everything in between came on. And if you're up from that area, if you don't go Division I, you go Division III. So a phenomenal experience because it allows you to, as far as education goes, you're thrown into a fire with a liberal arts education. You have to learn how to apply and manage time right away. So it's a huge asset along the lines of education. And then exposure to be an athlete at a higher level obviously is a huge component in understanding the processes that we go through now. Not that it's high level, and again, I tell people this all the time. I think you need to have been in a situation as a college athlete to understand what your kids are going through. It doesn't matter what level you play. It doesn't matter if you're an All-American or an All-Scout team. It doesn't really matter. But actually to have been in that process yourself a little bit so you kind of understand what your kids are going through. So when you go and you get on your kid for bad sleep and going out and drinking beer and so on and so forth and gallivanting around as a college kid, and you're sitting there, well, you got to go back and remember you probably did a few of the same things as an athlete yourself. So again, just understanding our kids is important. Actually started off coaching football. As a former football athlete, I thought that's something I might want to do, and then I found out pretty fast I didn't necessarily want to do that. A couple of reasons for it, but don't have to necessarily get into that depth. But ultimately what happened was the strength conditioning, I was doing that at the same time I was coaching football. And what I found is you can have a different interaction and an impact with a lot more kids across the board rather than I was coaching D-line. So I saw the same dozen kids every day, all the time, and had great relationships with them. Well, what about the other 90? Okay, and that's what I really, really loved, working with all those kids running that small segment. So that was one of the big things I shifted to. Gary told you where I was at. I GA'd at Memphis, went to Union for a year, wanted to get back into college, went back to Memphis, was there for about 5 or 6 more years after that, and this is my 4th year here. Just a little bit of background to kind of understand where I kind of created our own philosophy from. Our philosophy is a one of a kind, but at the same time we steal from all these people to create our philosophy, okay? So, but it's still individualized. Again, we don't try and recreate what somebody else does, okay? I value the heck out of what Louis Simmons has to say. I've never met him. I have never been in his gym. I've never watched him train guys. So for me to say I do what Louis does is a terrible lie, okay? I read his information and I try and take the nuggets and the pieces that I can apply and I can use, and we institute those things in our program. So mentor-wise, Coach Stark, that was the guy that kind of gave me my opportunity, Division I level. He was a former wrestler, Lord Humongous. So, but phenomenal person. Anybody that gives you a shot and gives you a break, and you know, those guys are loyal to you. You know, it's kind of due diligence to be loyal back to them. Just be a good person. But Starkey, phenomenal person. Milo down with the Jags, incredibly smart man, very, very good human as well. Only spent 1 year working with him, but picked up as much information in a year with him than you do anywhere. Sid, again, phenomenal guy, kind of works under the same system as Milo. And then Chad Smith. Chad and I actually worked together as GAs at the University of Memphis, and he's worked his way through. And Chad and I are phenomenal, you know, great friends. He does a great job. We get into this. We talk about the kids. Chad's #1 asset, and again, what I pull from him is his ability to create bonds and relationships with those kids. Those kids will do anything for him. He just survived a coaching change at an FBS school, and that's very, very difficult to do these days. And then the influences. Influences are basically the guys that we read a lot of information from, or listen to a lot, or kind of reach out to get more knowledge and information. Again, haven't directly worked in any of those systems. Excuse me, but just kind of where we mold our programs from. All right, so we're talking about culture. So this is kind of, we'll go through these today, our steps to build our culture and kind of how we get there. Failure to plan is planning to fail. So unless you have a layout and you have an understanding of, we would like to be able to get here, we'd like to be able to achieve these things, and unless you draw out a plan to kind of figure out how you're going to map to get there, you know, you're not going to be able to make it to that end. Sorry, I'll stop really fast. Just so you guys know and are aware, when we get to the end, my contact info is on there, so don't feel like you got to like picture slides or write slides or anything like that. If anybody wants a copy of this at the end, shoot me an email, and I'd be more than happy to send all the information over to you. So culture, so that's the big juicy definition out of the dictionary. So there's a lot into it, all right? There's 5 different parts of it, okay? So there's a lot that goes into culture, okay? So if you sit there and you try and regurgitate that and you live on that, that's a lot. It's a lot of elements, okay? So as we go through our process, we talk about simplicity, because basic and simple things work for these kids. You make things super complex and fancy, then you're going to be fighting over yourself to try and get to where you want to go. So a simplification process is going to happen right here. So the next part, okay, as I was going through and putting this together, I saw this. I thought this was pretty spot on, okay? E.B. Tyler, he basically talked about savagery is kind of where society starts. And from there, it elevates to barbarianism. From there, it goes to civilization. So it matches culture the same way. So until you actually create a sustained quality culture, you're not going to have civilization. So is savagery and barbarianism to the extreme? Yeah, of course it is. But if you walk into a scenario and it's a new job and there was poor culture there before you, you walk in there sometimes and you think that there's some barbarianism going on in that room. So again, your job is to change that. So here's how we look at culture, okay? It's very, very simple. Who we are, what we stand for, and how we go about business. It's that simple. It's that simple. So don't overcomplicate the process. Just stand for something and you'll be okay. So here's the next, all right? So again, Dave Tate was up there, big read, a ton of elite stuff, a few friends in that business over there with them. They do really, really good things for our industry. And the passion trumps everything. We've used that in pregame speeches with our football kids. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what works. That's what works. Because if you're passionate about what you do, your kids are going to trust you. Your kids are going to believe you. And they're going to listen to you because you're trying to help them. And if you create an environment and a culture that those kids come in there and they know that you're going to do everything you can to take care of them because you love the heck out of those kids, they'll work their tails off for you. Okay? So it's not about what you do, but how you do it. It is about what you do. You just have to do that how really, really well. Okay? So all those things kind of come into play because it's what I tell recruits. When kids come in as recruits, when they walk in the door and they expect some big fancy, spiel about what we do, it's so different than everybody else, I tell them first thing, I said, guess what? We do the same thing that everybody else does. We squat, we bench, and we clean. Our goal is to do it better than everybody else. The way we teach it, the way we progress it, the way we regress it, so on and so forth. So we make sure that we create the best environment possible for those kids to be successful. So it's not the what, because everybody's doing the what. It's how we go about business to be able to achieve those things. Okay, so next one, why? Okay, so that's big these days in, again, kind of things that are in the in-crowd buzzwords and whatnot. So why? You have to have a why with anything. And ultimately, I believe as you go through and you establish culture and you establish qualities that you believe in, your why is with you. It's there, and you know exactly what you're doing because you have objectives and goals, and that's your why and that's your drive to be able to achieve those things. Now, in today's world, I think you have to have a why because people don't know why they're doing anything. They're just following the masses. They're just kind of feeding off of that same bite. So they're just going, yeah, I'll do that. That looks cool. Well, you don't really have a why, a personal why and investment in. So we have to have a why in our weight room of how we want to build that culture. So the first why is we want to be able to create structure. Okay? If we don't have structure in that room and there's no direction for those kids, it's going to be chaos all the time. If you don't control your environment will control you. Okay? So that's the last thing that you want to do in a weight room. Okay? So develop something that is structured, all right, and is simple that they can follow. Okay? So the simplification, all right, that's what I said at the beginning. It has to be simple. It has to be simple. So again, if you overload these kids with a whole bunch of different structural responsibilities and needs and understandings, they're going to get confused on that. And if they're already lost as they come into the room, how do you think they're going to respond when you try and teach them how to move properly when they squat? It's going to be very, very difficult to overcome those things because it's the same as the kid that thinks too much and it gets stuck in the ground. So yeah, we want you to think about how you move, but if you think and then you process, you're too late. Okay, so we want those to be reactive skills, so you have to keep those things simple to be able to get them there. Developmental, okay? One of our whys is developmental. So when we talk about developmental, we want to be able to continue to improve the human, okay? So whether it's physically or mentally or lifestyle choices, it doesn't matter what it is, but we want to make sure that we're developing these kids these days, okay? We want to make sure that we're giving them everything that they can possibly handle to make a better life for themselves, okay? That's our contribution to society. So at the end of the day, we want to send them out, and Boss Man talks about it with recruits. Again, he talks about it. We want to send you out a better man than you came in. We want to send you out as a better person when you come into our program based on how we operate and how we run things. Next one down, habit building, okay? So in that developmental process, we're all about habit building, okay? The human being is a creature of habit. So everything that we do, we're either creating good habits or we're creating bad habits. So we want to make sure that we take the time to cultivate good habits over and over again on the regular basis. Because again, if you don't have structure and it's not simple, then those kids are going to always fall through the cracks. So we want to basically create something very, very basic for them to follow so they're able to create that habit and keep it simplified, and they can repeat that thing over and over and over and over again. Last one, again, just a very simple little saying we use in the room all the time. We want to set you up for success, not failure. Set you up for success, not failure, okay? It still boggles my mind, some of the interactions that we have with sport coaches when sport coaches come at us and they're disappointed that we're not doing the best we can to take care of their kids, or we're providing some kind of disservice. And look, we're all on the same page. We all want your kids to be successful. And when a coach challenges you like, well, maybe you're not doing the things to... Everything that we do is to help prepare these kids for you guys so you can play and compete and be successful at a high level. So when we talk about setting them up for success, not failure, if they have a practice and coach gets on them and they had, bad performance day before, so on and so forth, and he wants to run the dog out of them and he just absolutely crushes them, and then you got to lift afterwards. Well, they all come out with their tongues hanging out and just dragging. Okay, so what am I going to do? I got an 85% squat and we're hitting triples on that thing. You really think I'm going to get it out of them? No chance. So my job is to make changes for them. So yes, we're still going to squat. We ain't doing 85 because your 85 now is going to be like a 105, okay? So we have to make that adjustment for you. Now we want that attention to detail, and we want that quality. We'll make adjustments for you. So now we still get the quality and we get the work that we want, but again, our job is to be able to adjust that scenario for them so they can be successful. Okay, Malcolm X on there, a little Black History Month for you. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, okay? Very, very basic, very, very simple. Okay, you guys have heard that before. It's in a couple bad rap songs, okay? So, but that's the idea. That's the idea. You have to stand for something. You have to be solid in your ground. All right, be where your feet are. Okay. Strength coach's role. Okay. So again, we wear a lot of different masks, all right, and a lot of different hats as we go through that room. So basically, the first thing that you are as a strength coach is you're a teacher. Okay. What's a teacher's job? Educate, right? As a strength coach, we have to do the same thing. A strength coach is not the person that yells and screams at people, all right, and gets all up in their face and bangs heads on barbells and mirrors and so on and so forth. Sometimes those things happen. Okay? But at the end of the day, we have to be a teacher. We have to be an educator because we can't just yell at a kid, okay? Again, we mold ourselves on past experiences, okay? I had a defense coordinator in college, and every time that you would make, you'd make an error, he would yell at you for making an error, but he would never correct you. So I'm sitting there, and I know I'm supposed to fill the A gap. I take my read step, and I go to fill the A gets washed down, so I go over the top, and I'm in the B. I know where I'm at, and I know I'm in the wrong place. So tell me how to get there. Don't just yell at me for being in the wrong gap. I know that, okay? So again, our job is to teach and educate and correct those things. Don't just yell at people. Because when I got yelled at, you know what I did? I shut him out. I didn't listen to him the rest of the game. I was on my own. I was free balling out there. So make sure that you stay in tune with your kids or else you'll get tuned out on it. Okay? Next one, mentor. Obviously, we want to be an example and create a good scenario for our kids, somebody to look up to and go to for advice. So that next one, you're a counselor. So how many times, and you guys know it, you have a different relationship with your kids than your sport coaches do. So your kids will come in and they'll confide in you and they'll need to talk about something. Or you see them, again, you're in the off season, you see your kids way more than your coaches do. So you see that kid and you see it 3 days in a row and it looks like, his girl left him, his guy left him, his dog died, whatever the heck goes on in the world today. But they walk in there, sad, sap face every day, and you go, hey, come here, what's wrong, man? And then they open up to you, and you're sitting there, and the next thing you know, you're in there for 2 hours, and he's sitting there crying in front of you, but then you walk out of there, and he's a better man. And he understands, and he's able to change those things. So you got to be a counselor. Okay, motivator. I used to not believe in this. I used to think that you had to be intrinsically motivated, and it's up to you to create your own motivation. And I still do believe that. You can't motivate the unmotivated, okay? But at the same time, it's your job to set the tone. It's your job to set the tone and create that energy and that atmosphere of what you want it to be. So you have to be a good motivator because if you don't challenge people to work and challenge people to work on a high level and get them outside of their comfort zone, they won't. They won't. They'll kind of stay nice and easy on that plane where they've always been. Manager, you manage everything. Everything, okay? I think Buddy Morris called himself like a stress manager or something like that. And you manage everything. There are so many different things on our plate that kind of go through so many different things that affect our athletes that you have to look at all those different circumstances or else you're off. If you don't ever take into consideration what practice volumes are, then what are you doing volume-wise upstairs? What are you basing that on? If you never take into account what intensities are outside, what are you doing up there? If you don't know what your offensive, defensive, scheme and how your style of play is and what your volumes are, what your intensities, what your demands and needs, then what are you doing, okay? So you have to be a manager of absolutely everything that comes across the table. The last one is support staff, okay? That's what our titles are, okay? That's what our titles are. So it is essential that we support the sport programs. Now, you never go against a sport program, okay? But as we get into our culture and we talk about it, you never go against a sport program. You never talk behind on a coach, and so on and so forth. And you'll get kids that'll try that on you sometimes. Yeah, coach is stupid. I don't think that's a good drill. Well, maybe you're not very good at the drill. Why don't you not worry about, so on and so forth, okay? But you are able to, as support staff, what we talk about, we want our culture to be the strongest culture of every team on this campus. So that way, when they go back into their sport and their team, if there is a weakness or a small gap of error within their culture, they're able to overcome those things because they've seen that from our outfit to where they're able to go, look, Josh asked us to do X. We don't need to take that step back just because we're over here and our coach allows that thing to slide. So you're able to actually create a bigger, stronger, more intense, higher standard expectation-based culture in order to keep everybody in on that same accord and challenge those other cultures. Okay? So who I am, okay? So we talk about a coach role and then me individually, okay? This isn't everything about me. This kind of just pertains to coaching, okay? You don't want all that other information, okay? So no room for error, okay? No room for error. So basically, when I talk to our kids, I ask them for perfection. Because if you don't strive for perfection, you're always aiming for something lower. Okay, so are you going to hit perfect? No. Are you going to hit perfect squat reps? No. But if you don't try to hit perfect squat reps and you're just trying to hit good squat reps, if you underachieve that, you're going to hit bad squat reps. Okay, so create something where they aim for perfection. Okay, black and white. I have zero gray area. Zero gray. You know exactly where I stand all the time. I've had kids tell me, and they tell me numerous times, but they appreciate it. They go, Josh, you're an asshole. But we value and respect that because we know exactly where we stand with you all the time. All the time, they know exactly where they are. They know that they have zero room for error because you either did or you didn't. There's no, well, maybe. Oh, yeah, we'll make an exception this one time. Zero exceptions, okay? That's the only way 360 student athletes go through that room. And unless we create that even playing field, we ain't going to get it from them. Be transparent, okay? And when I say be transparent, kids are not dumb. They will see through you in a second. They're stupid. They make terrible life choices and decisions, so on and so forth, okay? But they are not dumb. They are not dumb, okay? They've been in the world long enough to see you. If you are fake, they will see right through you. If you lie to them and you say things without confidence and you kind of stutter over yourself, you're not really sure where you are or what you're getting out of them, then they're going to see right through you, okay? So you have to make sure that you are transparent and honest with those kids. It's this. I am the same guy when I coach football. I'm the same guy when I coach women's volleyball. I'm the same guy when I meet with the AD. And I'm the same guy when I go home and I hang out with my girl. I'm the same guy all the time. That way I don't have to wear, and fake a personality or try and act like I got this. I've been around guys that would call it coaching voice. You talk to people one way, and then when you go out on the field or you go in the room or whatever and you start yelling and hollering, you got this completely different voice that you put on yourself, okay? Be the same guy all the time. Be transparent. Coach everyone equally, okay? I have 360 kids. All of them are different. All of them are different, okay? But we got to coach all of them the same. We got to coach all of them the same because I can't have my worst player not getting any attention and only giving attention to my best player because my worst player is going to be on a scout team trying to get my best player better. So I got to try and get him just as good as I can. Again, they're all developmental, so we have to make sure that we create a very equal playing field across the board, okay? It's all about equality in today's world, so we have to make sure that we build onto that thing rather than going, well, they don't count. Oh, they're not as important. Let's avoid them. No, that's not it. Make sure that we're equal and we're fair across the board. Hard work and dedication, again, that goes without saying. We try and lead by example so the kids know how many hours we work, so when they have to get up at 5:45, 5:30, 5 o'clock, whatever in the morning to come up and train, and they walk in there. They know better than walk in there sleepy-eyed, tired, and dragging because Josh Medler says 3:30. We better be alive and ready to go because this guy, So as long as you kind of set that trend for them, they'll gravitate to it. Okay, so departmental identity. So we take who we are, all right, and then we try and impose that by growing out of it, okay? Make it your own. Make it your own. Again, don't try and replicate and be somebody else. Be yourself. Be yourself. So that's part of being transparent because if you try and be somebody else, people will see through you, okay? You look at a big name in our industry. You look at a guy like Scott Cochran, okay? And for the praises that he gets and for the other people that hate what he does and stands for and everything between, it doesn't matter, okay? But there's only one Scott Cochran, okay? So you hear about guys out of the Cochran tree, okay? There's only one of those guys. There's only one of those, and it's him. All right? It's the same thing at LSU with Tommy Moffitt. Tommy Moffitt has guys everywhere. They're all Tommy Moffitt guys, but none of them are Tommy Moffitt except for Tommy Moffitt. Okay? So make sure that you make it your own and don't try and be what somebody else is. Be what you are. Okay? Again, lead by example, like we just said. Okay? So it's you. Okay? That way, it makes it genuine. Okay? Because otherwise, you're trying to impose things on kids or ask things from kids that you don't know how to get yourself. Okay? So it's the same deal as anybody seen. Matt, anybody seen the 600-pound life? Anybody seen that? Okay. So, okay, yeah, okay, got a couple, okay? So that would be like that person on my 600-pound life telling you to go on a diet. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, okay? So if you don't live that life and you're not genuine in who you are and what you are, they're going to see through you and they will not listen to you because they're going to go, well, this guy's full of it, It's the same as we get our coaches, If I'm out on a Friday night and I sit right at the bar and I drink a bunch of beers and I'm falling off the stool and our kids walk in, they're not going to come in and listen to me the next day. You have to lead by example and you have to be genuine about your presence. Consistency. Kids like to see the same thing day in, day out, and they know what they're getting. They have to know what they're getting. They don't want to come in there. You don't want to be that roller coaster ride. They want to come in and get the same guy, the same attitude every single day. Whenever anybody asks me, Josh, how are you? How's your day going? What's up? I'm always great. I'm always outstanding. Half the time I'm lying. But it doesn't matter because I want you to know I'm the same guy all the time. I'm always trying my best to be outstanding and to be great. Yeah, we have terrible days sometimes, no doubt about it, okay? But I want to be as consistent as I can as a human being to constantly grow, but that way the kids know what they're getting. Otherwise, crapshoot, they're all over the place. Process, okay? So again, we talk about process and how we work into achieving these things. The first one, wipe the slate clean, okay? So when I got here, again, this is my 4th year. When I got here, I'll be honest with you, I didn't care what was done before because I didn't want to do what they did. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, okay? Because whether it was good or bad or perfect or horrendous, it doesn't matter because, again, you got to make it your own, right? So we basically had to wipe clean everything that was. Well, you know what happened during that process? Made a lot of people really, really mad. But now you know what? Those things are so far removed, people don't even notice them anymore. So what we did the first year, we called it this. I said, let's rock the boat, just not tip it over. It's okay to get that thing going because somebody's going to be unhappy. Look, I got towels in a drawer upstairs that is my assistant's desk, okay? I don't want you going in my assistant's desk at will. So I got a coach going over there just getting in the desk, grabbing a towel. Coach, get out of that drawer. That's not your desk. What do you mean? I need a towel. This isn't a fitness center. Don't reach into the desk, so on and so forth. So he's mad at me. Okay, well, guess what? He doesn't come in and train anymore, not because I didn't ask him to, but he chose that he doesn't want to follow our standards and what we want to provide. And really, there's not a lot of time for him to come in and get it anymore. So he gets it now and he understands it. It's a transition through time. You have to tell people sometimes things that they don't necessarily want to hear. Just because it was one way for a while. I mean, you used to have coaches that would bring their children in, all right, their pre-adolescent children into the weight room and drop them off and let them exercise in there with no supervision. You have to change those things. Yeah, they're going to be mad. Well, I used to always do that. They were fine with that before. I'm not them, and this is not before. So we're going to change that process. And again, rock the boat. Just don't tip it over. You tip it over, you're going to drown. So obviously, you got to stay in that thing. Okay? Sport practice. The first ways we get our kids to understand what we're all about, we equate it to sport practice. Do you ever miss practice? No. Then you'll never miss training. What do you do at practice? Well, we go there and we try and get better at honing our skills to play ball. Cool. Guess what you can do in the weight room every day? You're going to come in, you're going to practice on honing your skills in the weight room to create skills that transfer to the field of play. So if you draw that parallel and you get them to understand that practice and training are the exact same thing, then they're going to ride with you. Because here, academically, it's very, very tricky. We don't have athlete priority scheduling for classes. So we have kids with classes all over the place, all day long, every day. So it makes things difficult. So we'll have a kid that will go, I can't come to lift today because I have class. Okay, that's fine. You have class, go to your class, and then we'll get you a lift, so on and so forth, okay? But then you'll get the kid that'll go, hey, I can't come to lift because I'm going to a basketball game with my dad. He bought me tickets to the Hornets game. Okay, would you miss practice for a Hornets game? No. Then you're not going to miss a training session for a Hornets game. You can, but then you're going to get punishment, and we'll talk about punishment here in a minute, okay? So draw that parallel. So again, that's all part of the process. You are going to lift weights significantly more times in the course of a year than you're going to play competition. That's the way it goes. So if you don't embrace it, you're going to miss, okay? Next, we train versus workout, okay? This is one that we're in all the time, okay? Our kids don't call it workouts. Our coaches don't call it workouts. We don't set up workout times. We don't come into workout. We don't have good workouts. We train. We train, okay? And it's as simple as exchanging a word, okay? Because what I tell our kids is, the geriatric population that goes to the doctor that has a bad hip or is an overweight, and the doctor says, hey, you need to go get some exercise in order to help this thing stay alive, so on and so forth. That's what people do when they go work out. You go to the gym and you see the same person on that bench every day. They're working out. We train because we have specific qualities that we're trying to attain in order to enhance performance for play, okay? So I don't want to get off topic. So you go CrossFit, okay? People hate CrossFit. I don't hate CrossFit. I think CrossFit is wonderful for general population because it's put more bars in people's hands than any other weightlifting has, okay? So kudos to CrossFit. But if you read CrossFit's statement, they say they're a general training that has no specific, need for anything. So if you understand what it is, then you can't be that mad at it. But what we have is we're going to train because we have specific needs that we want to be able to train and get qualities from. So train, not work out. Young kids do it all the time. And I actually had it this winter when we came in. There was one of our freshmen, and he wasn't here in the summer. And he goes, Josh, why do people, and he's trying to make it right now, to be honest with you. But he goes, can you explain to me what it means to train? Because like I've always called it working out. So again, it's a kid that's not all the way in on culture, so he's trying to understand things, so at least he's asking the right questions. Embrace the process. Again, you're going to lift, and you're going to train, and you're going to prepare a lot more than you're going to compete, all right? So the first one is lifestyle choices. You got to educate your kids and get your kids to understand what to choose, when to choose, and why to choose. They're going to make a million errors, but it's your job to get them to understand good choice, bad choice, and put them in a better situation. Remember, set them up for success, not failure, okay? You're going to see consistency again. You're going to see habits again, okay? But that's where it's at. That's where it's at. You have to be consistent in your process. If your process changes all the time, kids won't get it, and they'll always be lost. So you're trying to create as much adaptation to the process as you are the training and the growth itself. So again, too many stressors, it's hard to overcome all those things, because what are you concentrating on? What are you concentrating on? The training itself or the process to get to training? Okay, and everything has to kind of fold in, so it's got to be simple and consistent. Habits, again, obviously that's what we are, so build those things in as we go, okay? You see the picture, okay, so no buy-in, okay? So that is my, again, like I don't agree with all the buzzword stuff that happens in our profession. So everybody's always about buy-in, okay? To me, in order to have buy-in, you have to sell something. I'm not selling anything. I'm not selling anything. Because if you embrace the process and you understand what we're about and what the training process is and what it means to be under the bar, then I don't have to sell you anything. I don't have to ask that. Okay? I can just create a scenario in an environment that you enjoy coming in every day. And you look forward to getting underneath the bar. That's buy-in. Okay? You don't have to sell them something. Because if you do, if you got to convince them of it, then they're going to turn around and walk out and say, yeah, right, that wasn't real. So you just have to be genuine and give them something that they value. And if they value it and they trust that process, you don't have to sell them and get them to buy in. They'll just, we call it ride with them. Okay? Because that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to be able to pack up and everybody rides together. Standards and expectations. We don't have rules. We don't have rules. Again, simplification, right? I'm going to show you we do kind of have rules. Hold on. We don't really have rules. You go into a weight room and they got a list of 20 rules. So I got to understand the process. I got to understand all these rules. I got to make sure I don't break them. You said no earrings, but my coach lets me wear earrings. You say no hats, I can wear hats, so there's too much confusion and there's so much this sport, that sport, and the other. So you know what our rules are? We don't have any, okay? Hold on. Create expectations instead. These aren't earring rules. These aren't what you look like. At the end of the day, I want you to come in however you want. As long as you're comfortable, as long as you're available to train, I want you in my room. I want you in my room. I don't care, okay? Proper attire. That goes without saying. Our kids don't have a ton of gear. I don't care what you wear. Don't wear another institution shirt. I still have kids that wear the high school shirts. I don't have any problem with that. We can't outfit our kids enough and have enough gear for them. They don't get wash done every day. All right? So they can wear whatever they want. I don't care. I got kids wearing blue shorts. We don't let them wear purple because Furman's one of our rivals, so we don't let them wear purple. But they usually find that out when they wear purple, and then they have to go back and change. But proper attire is simple. So I don't care if they wear earrings. That doesn't matter to me. Obviously, they're going to wear shoes. They're not going to wear flip-flops or slides. Okay? So those things are basic. Those things are given. So as long as they don't wear another institution, I'm fine with it. Okay? And I don't have to tell them that either. Older kids get it into them. They see him walking up and they got on a Georgia shirt. They're getting ready to come lift. Man, you ain't wearing that shirt. I'll have a kid come in and be, Coach, I don't have any other shirt. I'll either give him one, which will have like a really old golf polo with no sleeves, or we'll sit there and we'll just make him turn it inside out. So, I mean, one way or another, we're going to get where we want to be with that. Late to a training session or missed a training session, okay? So obviously you have to hold your kids accountable and you have to have disciplinary rules for those things, okay? So we'll get to that in a minute. Late to a training session. Very rarely does it happen. Every once in a while we'll have a kid late to our training session. Missed session, I'll tell you what, man, I'm very, very fortunate to be in a school like this. We don't have those problems, most part. Every once in a while there's a team that's got a kid that doesn't really want to be on the team in the first place, and they kind of find their way out. But at the end of the day, we don't have to pull teeth to get our kids to lift. We do not have to pull teeth to get our kids to come in and train. They don't have any attendance issues at all, okay? So my job, my life is much, much better because of that, okay? No yawning. So you're going to get called out if you yawn now the rest of the time that I'm up here. We don't let our kids yawn. All that is body language. All it is body language. Have you ever sat in an interview or a conversation and you're right across from somebody and you're eye to eye and you're talking to them and the next thing they do is, it's disrespectful, it's rude, okay? And it's just kind of, well, I don't really care. So we don't let our kids yawn because, again, it's just that conscious awareness of, well, are you in here to train? Are you dialed in? Are you focused? Are you ready to go? Are you yawning? Because when you come in, you got to be dialed, you got to be focused, you got to be ready to train. So we don't let our kids yawn. Who did I do up downs the other day? I made somebody on my staff do up downs the other day. Who was it? Oh, yeah, it was Connor. Yeah, I made Connor do up downs. I caught him. We were walking up. We were getting ready to go break it down. And Connor comes up on the backside. I saw him. I'm a sniper for the yawn, by the way. But Connor walks over, and he's got his bands. Connor, that's 10. Connor hops down and gets his up downs because he yawned. So we're all held accountable to the same standard. Last one, no hands on hips, head, or knees. Okay, so again, it's a body language deal. Okay, so when we train our kids, look, you get tired, it happens, okay? But you just got to stay in there and wear it. So there's nothing better at the end of the game when you're standing toe-to-toe and you're both exhausted and you're both tired and you're standing there huffing and puffing and breathing and trying to keep it together, but you're standing there, good, tall posture, and you're ready to ride, and that person's right across from you going, you know that you're going to beat them. You know that you're going to beat them. Again, mindset, and that's how we create mental toughness, okay? So we want to make sure that we hold them to a very, very high standard, okay? So here's what happens if you fail to meet these rules, okay? Got privilege like that, okay? Early morning cleaning. We bring our kids in the next day at 5 a.m. and they clean our weight room. If you don't want to come with your team and you train, then guess what? We're not going to let you train. You're going to come in here and you're going to make us better. You don't want to make you better, you'll make us better. So here you go. Here's a bottle, here's a towel, wipe it down. I mean, we'll have guys, I'll send guys out on my stairs and they'll clean spindles. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It's something that makes us better because they put us out by not showing up. So why are we going to create a service to provide them individual training? Okay? You guys understand this. If a kid misses a training session and your coach wants you to make that up for them, then they are truant because they miss, right? And then they turn around and they come back and they get individual treatment, one-on-one training. How many of your other kids get that? The ones that are negligent and do the wrong things? Nope. All your good kids are getting trained with everybody else. All your bad kids are getting one-on-one. No chance. No chance. I won't do it. You miss a training session, you miss a training session. I don't do makeups, okay? I don't do makeups. I don't believe in them. Can you make up practice? No. Can you make up games? No. I know, yeah, sure, if it rains, you might reschedule, okay? But you don't make those things up. You have one opportunity, you get it or you miss it. It's that simple, that cut and dry. So if you value the weight room, again, it's a privilege to come in there. Look, at the end of the day, these college kids don't understand. They're getting personal training. If they go out and get personal training after they're done, they're going to pay a lot of money for that thing. It's free. Take advantage of it. It's a privilege, not a right, okay? Burpees and up downs. That's our blanket punishment, okay? Because it's short, sweet, simple, and it's annoying. They don't like doing them, so it's quick, they can do it, and it's not intrusive to the training process. So if I get a kid, okay, so again, here's the mental toughness part of it, okay, if I get a kid that's tired on a run, and he mentally goes down, hands on his knees, he's got to hop down, he's got to get 10 up downs really quick, and then he's right back up, and he's into the run. So my thought in that is, look, if you're tired, I'm going to make you more tired, so now you got to really suck it up. But it's not going to take away from their performance. Now, every once in a while, you're going to get a kid that's terrible and doesn't get it, is very out of shape, and it's going to be a young kid, they're going to continue to do it, and they're going to be smoked by the end of one of those days. The burpees, I had med balls when I got here. Again, we kind of wiped the slate clean. We got rid of some of the things that we didn't find very useful, but I had these med balls that had handles on the side, and I didn't really know what to do with them, so those became our, if you're late, you do med ball burpees as a punishment, because that was my way of tying up loose ends, because I want to get you in that training session as soon as possible. But if you haven't gone through any of our preparatory work, all right, then you're not really going to be ready to climb underneath that bar. Obviously, I'm not going to jump you in on an 80 squat right away, okay? But that way we can kind of get you prepped and get you warmed up, total body, as fast as humanly possible, and then we mix you in. And we always play with the kids, and they think it's funny when we do it, so we go based on how many minutes you're late. So if you're 5 minutes late, all right, 5 minutes late, 10 up downs per minute. All right, knock out 80, let us know when you get there. Wait a minute, coach. Yeah, exactly. So you always round those numbers, you play with them a little bit, just kind of kick it to them. And then the other part that's nice about that, again, we give our kids ownership, so they're able to actually dull those things out themselves. Last one, suspension and dismissal. Again, we're fortunate to be able to have the vast majority of our coaches 100% behind our backs. If a kid's negligent, and we believe that they are not with the process and they're not in on all cylinders, which typically matches up with sport performance, then we're able to kick them out of the weight room, okay? I had a football student athlete that was removed from the weight room for an entire summer and season. So coach supported it. Why? What happened? So on and so forth. All you got to do is figure it out, and you match it, and you mesh it, and you go, well, that's not the answer. See you later. Again, it's a privilege, not a right. Okay, so 5 principles, okay? So we'll go through these things. So these are our standards and our expectations, okay? These are the things that we live and we die on. So, you talk about your non-negotiables and the things that you expect your kids to bring every day. These are the 5 things we ask our kids to bring every day. Yeah, they have subheadings, and we'll get a little bit deeper into it, okay? But these are the things that our kids must display in order to create a great culture in our room, okay? The first one, approach, okay? So it's all mindset and how you walk into it. So when you go approach, when you talk about approach, you look at it like this. When you go in to play a game or a competition, you scout that team and you watch film and you prepare to go into it, right? Weight room's got to be the same. Weight room's got to be the same. So when they come in, they know what their training session is. I don't ever surprise them. I don't ever bring them in and go, if I surprise them by backing stuff out, not adding stuff in. But I don't sit there and go, don't worry about how many reps you got today. We're going to go out there and we're going to run 110s. We don't run 110s. We're going to go out there and run 110s, and we're going to run some. How many are we going to run, coach? Some. Well, what are you setting them up for? Will you just run to run to run? We're going to run 10, and I want great reps every time. So you got to let them know where they're coming from. Same way as the game plan works. You know who you're playing. You don't. For us, we don't seek, oh, well, we got Furman on the schedule, and then you show up and you're playing West Carolina. That's not it. You know exactly who you're playing. So create that same mindset in your kids so you allow them to have a good, high-quality approach into that room. Second one, intentionality. It's a real word. Coach Ayers used to challenge me on this thing when I got here, intentionality. Anybody listen or follow Dr. Kevin Elko? You should. You should. He's good stuff. Yeah, Toby? Yeah, I mean, he's a sports psychologist guy. He works NFL. He's good buddies with Nick Saban. I was able to kind of connect with him through Thomas Linsky down with the Jags. So, and Dr. Elko says things that are you want a sports psychologist that makes things relevant and you can understand and actually apply in your life. You listen to some of these people and you're like, wow, that's awesome. Wait, how do I use that? How does that pertain to me? It sounds cool, but how do I get there? He does a phenomenal job of tying those things together to actually use information that's given to. Really, really good. Kids understand some of that stuff too. And because of Boss Man now rides on that. But anyways, intentionality, okay? All it is intentions with your actions. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's very, very simple. So I saw that yawn over there, by the way. Okay, so intentionality. If you don't have a good approach to it and you don't have a set intent of what you want to do in that room that day, then you're just in there going through the motions. If you show up and I cue you the same way every time on a squat, and I'm always saying, open up your groin more. Open up your groin more. You got to reach more to start your movement, all right? You got to get back in your hips more. If I always cue you the same thing every day, day in, day out, you have zero consciousness. You have no idea what's going on. You're in there going through the motions, and you're just showing up to lift weights. I want you to be available to train. So consciousness. A conscious athlete is a successful athlete. If I cue that same kid over and over again, he never gets it, he doesn't understand how his body works. I don't expect him to be a scientist and understand, what ligaments and joints and bones and I don't care. But I want him to understand what they feel. I mean, you get a kid squatting on his toes and you go, sit back in your hips, get in your heels. And he goes, what do you mean, coach? I'm in my heels. Well, you have heels, but you ain't on them. Well, I can't feel that. How can you not feel that? It's insane that kids don't understand how their body works and how it takes on stress. So our job is to help them understand that. Our job is to get them to be more conscious about the process. So we go and we talk about all these things, all right? How does culture work? They create it. You said it, they create it. They're the ones that grow your culture. So if all my old cats, like right now, so my old heads, I got fifth-year guys in the off-season right now. Trust me, they take care of those young cats. Because those young cats are still swimming a little bit. They're still swimming a little bit. This is their first off season. But those old heads, they're the ones that make sure they understand that. Well, you better pay attention to what Josh says. Because if you ain't listening and you're not trying to understand it, you ain't going to survive in his room. And they're like, yeah, right. And they're like, no, serious. And they know it. They know it because you have to do the right thing. Okay, next one, physical. Okay? Tempo, energy, hard work. Okay? So all the physical part is, all right, again, is what you expect them to show up and work their tails off for you, okay? You want them to be able to get out of their comfort zone and give you everything they have available to train, period. So if you don't get them to work hard for you, then you have an error. Because at the end of the day, everybody's working hard. Are they? Or are you just doing a bunch of hard work? Okay? So what's the difference and how do you get there? Okay? Our goal is to create an environment where they work really hard at doing the right things. They work really hard at doing the right things. Because if you work your tail off, blood, sweat, and tears, and you do a bunch of old terrible things, guess what? You got really good at doing a bunch of bad things. And that doesn't necessarily make you better an athlete. Does it make you tougher? Not necessarily. It probably sets you up more for failure than for success because you're probably going to break down. You might lose a joint here or there in between the process. Okay? So work smart, but work their tails off. Okay? Energy. Again, we talk about setting a tone for the kids and getting them to understand that you have to be the one that provides energy for your room. If you walk in and you go, all right, guys, big squat day today. Yeah, we're going to try to hit some doubles. We'll be around, 90, 95. So bring your A game. All right, here we go. Get them in. Yeah, coach, let's go. Ooh. They're not going to get it. So you have to, again, you set the tone for energy, but then they have to feed off of them. They have to create their own. And we got one now going, we call it a challenge set. So we kind of give them an open set on the back end of their work, okay? Just some of our reestablishing of numbers, so on and so forth. Anyways, when we do that challenge set, we start at the first week, and we keep everything on the whistle. We run everything. We're in charge. We don't hand them a piece of paper and they go, okay? So everything is on us, okay? Everything is on the whistle. So we call it last set. We yell it, challenge set. First week, everybody's kind of, yep. And then we got to kind of regurgitate it. Now, I can call it one time, and the kids outweigh everything that we got going. They're all in there hooting and hollering, challenge set, and they're jumping up and down. And we got it now to where we are is, we're getting ready to start spring ball, so we have, different guys doing different stuff on different days. So with our challenge set, we kept them in. So we had a group Thursday, they did a challenge set on bench while the other group was already in their lower body accessory. So we're off the whistle, two different groups, all right? And there we yell challenge set. The whole room starts yelling challenge set. So those other guys are on their other movement, and they're in on it too. So again, you create that energy for them, but then they're the ones that kind of grow it for you. Tempo, we always tell our kids, we have a very short period of time. The NCAA is misguided in allowing us a very short, time slot to be able to train you and prepare you. So we have to take advantage of our time. We ask for a lot of tempo and a lot of pace in our room. We want them flying around and moving. That doesn't mean we're trying to condition them in the weight room. It just means that they need to be up to speed to when we go from A to B, we go from A to B. We don't go from A to thinking about chilling to hanging to soliciting to going to B. Okay? We get there right away. It's A to B and we ride. And again, that thing, well, the way we do it, in our first week of our program, we know we ain't getting everything, so we're showing a few new things. Week 2, that thing's rolling. Week 3, it's fly. And we just stay in that mold and we just keep riding until we change our format a little bit. Number 3, Brotherhood. Okay? So this is the family environment, okay? So you guys watch and you see it. Successful teams, successful clubs, all right, those are the ones that have a good bond. Okay, they have a good factor. They mesh together. Are they best friends off the field, off the court? No, not necessarily. But you know what? When they work and they play and they're together, they're good with each other. They all know each other's names. Okay, it's amazing. It's amazing, and I've seen it, and I've coaches that don't know kids' names. So you think kids know each other's names? Oh, of course they don't. So it starts at the top. Okay, so you got to know everybody. The first one, compete. Okay, what are we? We're athletes, so we're competitors. Okay, so as we compete, right, we want to be able to draw that similarity into our training on a daily basis. So again, we want to find something that we can do to get them to compete and challenge one another on a regular. So that challenge set's where it's at now. Okay, but it's something to get them excited and get them to really push and challenge one themselves and each other. Okay, to me, it's almost more important that they learn how to push themselves, because if you're always dependent against that intrinsic motivation, if you're always dependent on somebody else to get you there, then when that guy goes by the wayside or they're no longer there to help you get that, then can you stand on your own too? So I think it's important that they understand how to compete on their own first. Okay, so they challenge, okay, the one that's there between compete and challenge, on the challenge, that's the one we talk to our kids. We talk about getting outside of their comfort zone, okay? We tell them all the time, when we teach our cleans, we teach top to bottom, but as we work down lower into the bottom and we're getting set up on the floor, the first thing we tell them is get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because when you set yourself underneath that clean, it's not like you're laid on your couch on Saturday night chilling watching Netflix, okay? You are getting underneath that bar, you're pulling your brace, and you're getting set up to take that bar for a ride. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's where our challenge comes into play. We want guys to be able to challenge one another to where, yeah, that's good, but you got better. Give me that more. Give me that more. And it's okay for them to challenge each other, okay? The last one with family, when we talk about that challenge, we want to make sure that guys are challenging each other on a positive scale. I'll be the one that's negative. I'll be the one that's negative. So I'll be the one that jumps somebody and gets after them when they need that. I want you guys to lift each other up. Now, you can get on somebody, but do it in a positive fashion. Don't bring each other down, because it's very easy for kids to roll that way. Because as soon as Timmy gets on to Johnny, Billy gets on to Johnny, because they buddies. So it just starts to build up, okay? One bad egg spoils the whole bunch, right? So make sure that they stay positive in those thoughts and those process and in how they interact, so they're always able to build up rather than tear down. Discipline. This is huge. This is huge. It's all about discipline, okay? Because if you can get them to be accountable and you can hold them to that standard and they do the right things, that's your mental toughness. That's your mental toughness. Because they have to overcome so much in their life, all right, that they're asked to do so much. They have so much on their plate. Life is so hard for a college kid. They'll be okay. They figure it out. They'll be okay. They'll be okay. But you have to ask them to. And you have to discipline them. And you have to hold them to a high standard to get there. So commitment. We ask our kids this, okay? Again, different way of thinking. It's not, you're not making a sacrifice to train. You're not making a sacrifice. You're making a commitment. Because what do you do with something you love? You make a commitment to it. You got to give up something else to be able to get that. So if you want to get married, you got to give up all the other girls for that one girl. You're not sacrificing all the other girls. You're making a commitment to one. And that's what we want our athletes to do. You're not giving up Friday night party, Saturday night party to be able to be successful. You're making a commitment to the weight room and to the process in order to be successful. So you're not giving anything up. You're really going to miss that party? Because that's what you're going to talk about in 20 years, aren't you? You're going to talk about the fact that you were 11-3 and went to the playoffs. You're not going to talk about that Saturday night party. So make a commitment. Make a commitment into the things that you really want and you really love. Accountability, again, just holding each other and yourselves to a high standard. We do a few different things in the room to kind of cultivate that. Excuse me. But again, it has to be a high level of accountability. And if you ask kids to be accountable and you don't hold them accountable, then you're the worst one. So if you say, all right, everybody's doing 10 reps. I catch anybody not doing 10 reps, then we're all going to do 20 reps. And you sit there and you watch that guy and it's your best player and he does 9. Guess what? You just lost a game for your team. You don't make him do that 20 reps. So you have to be the same one on that. You can't let anybody slide. And what we ask from our kids is you can't ask somebody else to be accountable unless you're accountable. So the kid that missed the session 2 weeks ago and he's in there talking about being committed and getting after it and making changes and really growing the program, he's full of it because he already missed, so he ain't it. So don't talk about it unless you are living that life. No excuses. Okay, last one, no excuses. I don't believe them. I don't believe them. You can't give me anything to validate anything. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't want to hear it. You can come up with an excuse for everything that you want. I don't want your excuses. Tell me how you can, not how you can't, okay? Everybody's been to the grocery store at some point in their life, yeah? Has anybody gone down the soup aisle and found a cant of soup? Yeah, I hear you snickering. That's funny, okay? It's a can of soup because you can. So find a way to do it. Don't find a way to not do it. It's easy. It's convenient. I can lie to you all day and find a way out of everything. My dog gave me homework. Find a way to do it, not to not do it. It's amazing. There's a lot of opportunity out there for kids. There you go. There's that can. Okay? So communication, all right? Communication. This is the same for the athlete, the coach, all right, and the athletic staff. So that's administrators, those are your ATC folks, okay? That's everybody. The more we know, the more we can affect. The more we know, the more we can affect. If I'm not able to attend practice, and it's that day that coach ran the dog out of those cats, I can't help them if I don't know that. If I'm not aware of what's going on, then I can't make adjustments. I've got a team right now that they want to do their own running. That's fine. Can I get a copy of that running so I'm able to make adjustments on my end? And maybe I'll help you with some of the things that may not be as scientifically sound, okay? But if we don't get that communication, we never know. You know who our best communicators are? Our kids. Our kids. Because who do we see more often? Our coaches and our staff or our kids? Our kids, okay? So it's amazing, and it still boggles my mind. We'll have a kid. Our kids communicate everything to us all the time. So again, you're coming from class, these professors will hold you late. It's the way it goes. I got a kid running from class. He's got to be there, and he's going to be a couple minutes late. If he walks into my room 2 minutes late and he got help from class, I have no problem with that. Yo, Brandon, did you text me to let me know you were going to be 2 minutes late? Yes, sir. Walk in there, check my phone. All right, man, hop in, weigh in. Let's go. 2 minutes late. Yell at the kid. All right. Did you text me? No, sir. I was in class. I just told you that. Did you text me? No, sir. Okay. Grab the med ball. Burpees. All that is an accountability of communication. All you got to do is tell me you're on your way. You don't tell me, come on, man, you see everybody going around campus like this. I'm surprised more people don't run into trees. They have their phones in their hand all the time. All you got to do is communicate. You let me know anything. Our job is to provide service for you. Our job is to help you. So help us by helping yourself by communicating with us. The more we know, the more we can affect. Don't leave us in the dark. We will communicate any and everything possibly to you that we can, and everybody else that's involved and touches our department. You guys got to be on the same accord. You guys have to match that. You have to let us know everything. Look, here's a great example, okay? Had a kid, football kid. I said Charlotte Hornets basketball game because that's exactly what happened. So we had Thursday morning run, and we come back and we do a Thursday evening lift, okay? He goes, Josh, I'll be there at the run on Thursday. If you don't come to run in the morning, you can't come to lift, okay? So it's not a right. You don't just get to do it, okay? It's a privilege. So he comes in, he says, Josh, he came to me on Tuesday after his training session. He said, Josh, he goes, my dad bought tickets for the Hornets game on Thursday night. Is there a way I can make up my lift? I said, no, you can't make up your lift. He goes, yeah, I know. Is there a way I can get my lift in an earlier group? Well, I don't trade you guys out of groups unless it's a class conflict. Okay, well, what can I do? I said, well, we got a few open hours on Thursday, because he wanted to get his lift in. I go, okay, we got a few hours, open hours on Thursday. You can come in, you can get the lift session on your own, and you can do it on your own, and then I will see you Friday morning at 5 a.m. for your makeup, for your punishment. It's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. He came to me ahead of time, and he didn't want to miss his training. He wanted to make sure he got it. I didn't personal train him. I gave him his card, and he went and did it. I made the changes, the modifications that we do on a daily as we sit and review as a staff, but he went and did it on his own. Because he communicated those things. He wants to be in the weight room, he wants to train, and he wants to be a part of the process. He gets it. I'm not going to out that kid because he wants to go to the Charlotte Hornets game. Now, I'm going to make sure that he's held to the same standard as everybody else, but I didn't take away his ability to do that, but he didn't miss his training session either. So again, as long as you have communication, you're able to make those things understood by the kids. Okay, so taking a look back, okay, just again, when you develop your culture, when you cultivate, all right, make sure it's what you stand for. Make sure it represents who you are, okay? Make sure it's something solid and founded that you can grow from, okay? Because your culture is always growing. Whether you like it or not, it's either growing. And it's either growing up or it's falling down, okay? It happens. Okay, so if you're not continuing pushing to grow that culture and make that thing better and make it a better place, then it's a disservice. Okay, you have to constantly cultivate and stoke those coals. We tell our kids this. Okay, again, here's another perfect example. I praised our kids last week on one of their runs outside. They've done a really, really good job of understanding and listening. We're doing some change of direction stuff on tempos, lower threshold work to kind of get them to understand plant posture, position, head, body movement, and space. Okay, so we did it. And kids have really, really taken it and done a really good job with it. And I praised them in the weight room away from the coaches. Well, it just so happened the boss man praised him on the field the other day for it. And that's ultimately what you want to be able to create, because the kids see it and you give them an environment to be successful, and you say, hey, look, coach is seeing what you're doing. Coach is watching you, and then you turn around 2 days later and the coach says, you guys are doing a great job. But what happens with that is this. And I told them this. I go, you know my favorite part about that? They're like, yeah, we're doing a good job. You like when we do a good job? I go, no, I love when you do a good job. I go, but here's your standard. By doing a better job, guess what you just did? You just elevated your standards. So now when you go out there, you can't be halfway anymore. Now you got to go that much harder. So as they continue to elevate what that standard for success and what that expectation is, they have to be better. They have to challenge more. They have to cultivate and ask more from each other and themselves. Because if that standard never changes and you say, yeah, here's the standard, let's go get it, you either ain't going to attain it or it's too low. One or the other. Okay? So that was a huge win for us the other day by Coach loving them and us loving them and raising that standard. So now they got to be better. Now they hold them to a higher accord. Okay? You will become what you are willing to tolerate. If you allow kids to slight you and to do things wrong and to get away with it, then that will create worse and worse culture for you on a daily basis. It will. It will. If you let one kid slide because he's a good kid and you really like him and he's a good player, you let that one kid slide, guess what? You're done. You're done. Because other kids see it. Remember, they're not dumb. They're not dumb. They understand. So make sure that you're always on that same accord. Be consistent with it, and don't tolerate anything. Be thumb down, and then you can let that thing off a little bit as you go. I mean, our kids told me that in season. Again, the old heads, hey, Josh, you're getting soft. Getting kind of nice, you know. So guess what happened in the off season? As soon as we started, was it the first day or second day, I kicked people out. So, but again, because we don't really slide, but you notice it, the kids build that thing up, and they understand that, and you don't let it out, but you give them more ownership. So they think I'm getting soft because they're the ones doing it, not me. So I don't have to be the same vocal guy that I was at the beginning because they're the ones running the show now. They're the ones that are in charge of the culture. So they're the ones that push that issue, okay? So when they tell me I'm soft, okay, sure, whatever makes you happy. You say what you want, okay? So all we had to do was reamp that thing a little bit to give them that understanding and that little taste of it again, like, Josh, serious. And then now we're all the way back in again. We're good. Okay, again, people that want the slides, I put this in here for you guys. Okay, this thing is John Gordon. Everybody know John Gordon? Okay, you should find some book and read him by him. He's really, really sharp, and it's easy to read, and it's short and quick. He's got 14 thoughts about building culture that are really, really sharp. Just thought I'd put those in there. You can check those out. So, again, feel free to email me if you guys want a copy of this. Office phone, and then our Twitter and our Instagram. Those aren't my personal ones. Those are our team pages. Okay, and you know, other with that is, look, we are very, very open, and we love sharing information and having people in. So, you know, anybody internships or, you know, even shadowing, you want to stop in for a day and watch how we do things, so on and so forth. You know, our doors are open. You know, we are not a high profile, you know, I'm not a big time anything. Like I welcome any and everybody that wants to come watch us train. You know, just reach out. Obviously you need to coordinate those, communicate, all right, coordinate those things, but we'd love to have you guys on campus if you'd be interested. Gary, I know I'm right on time. Take like 2 minutes of questions if anybody's got anything really quick. Otherwise, obviously be here all day. Grab me in between sessions. My son's game's at 1, so I got to FaceTime him before that, but I'll get him at lunchtime. Anybody real quick? Nothing? All right. Good stuff. Thank you guys. I appreciate your time again. Thank you guys for coming.